Hi, my name is Erin and I'm a junior at Charlotte Christian. I'm also a level 10 gymnast and I at international gymnastics, and I love it all the time. I spend 20 hours a week there, and I always thought I couldn't live without it. It was my life. I loved my friends, my coaches, being a part of a team. It was everything I thrived for, you know. I've always been a Christian. I've always believed that God loved me. I believed that Jesus died to save my sins, and I always believed that He had a plan for my life, but I guess I had a hard time figuring out what that is. I thought I always knew what I wanted, and I always figured that God just wanted me happy, and that if I wanted it, not that God would give it to me, but that God would find a way for me to have what's closest to it. I started competitive gymnastics in 3rd grade, and I loved it. I constantly wanted to compete. I was always in the gym. Even at like 4th grade, I remember my friends saying, "Oh, you have practice till 8 o'clock? That's my bedtime." I started having hip pains pretty early on in 5th grade. They had all these theories. I kept getting MRIs done and x-rays, and no one could really figure out what was wrong. They had some theory that I couldn't understand at the time, and it wasn't really, I don't know. Basically the only solution they had for me at the time was take time off, and I didn't want to do that. It was kind of sad for a 6th grader, but I ended up taking the time off, and sure enough, the hip pains basically went away. But in 8th grade, in 7th grade, the pains were off and on. But by the time I went to 9th grade, I was in constant pain every single day. I would go to sleep in pain, and I couldn't understand why. I always felt like I was meant to do gymnastics or whatever, but all of a sudden my body was telling me that I wasn't really meant for it. During season, I would see the physical therapist and the massage therapist, and they would try to do everything they could to help me, but every time I would go see them, I'd take one step forward, and then I'd go to practice, and I'd just take 2 steps back, because gymnastics was just so hard on my body. And so I remember my massage therapist like basically turning me away, saying, "I can't do anything for you until you decide to quit gymnastics." So I just stopped going to see her, and I just found a way to deal with the pain. So I would go to practice, and I'd work out for 10 minutes, and then I'd ice, and then I'd go to the next event, and then I'd ice some more, and then I'd go to the next event and ice some more, just so that I could get through the workout. I was doing the bare minimum, and it was hard to watch all my friends like be able to practice to their full potential when I couldn't even get through a third of the workout. The physical pain and the emotional pain brought me to tears just about every night. I remember reading a passage in Psalm. I remember specifically he wrote, "My times are in your hands, O Lord." And I think that was kind of my turning point, was because I realized that all this time I had been fighting God, because I was afraid that God had this other plan for me outside of gymnastics. And I didn't want to admit that, you know. Gymnastics was everything, and I didn't want there to be something else besides it. And I felt that if God had this other plan, if I fought hard enough, maybe I would be able to go back, or maybe I could find a way to get myself back. I tried to take care of it all on my own. And I know now that that didn't work, because when I read that passage, I finally decided, God, you can take control of this. And I truly gave all my problems, all my suffering, and I gave it to God. And so I remember the next time going to the doctor's office, and he was like, "All right, here's the plan. We have one more painkiller thing you can try, and if it works, I hope it works, but if it doesn't, we might have to give you some more shots, and then maybe even go back to another surgery." And from that, I was just like, please, God, let this be the thing that I've been praying for the past 9 months. You know, let this be my let this just be the one thing that can make the big difference. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I was sitting there and all of a sudden I realized I was pain-free, and that was a concept I didn't even remember. I mean, I was always in pain, and then all of a sudden I was sitting there and it just wasn't there. And so it was miraculous how fast I started feeling better and how often I started feeling better. And then I went to the doctor, and he was surprised at how quickly I turned around. And then he said, sure, why not? You can try some gymnastics. It was just bars, but I remember grabbing a leotard and walking into the gym late, and I just put it on and started swinging some bars, and my coach was like, what are you doing? And I said, my doctor said I can start doing gymnastics again.
I need you so much closer. I need you so much closer. I need you so much closer. I need you so much closer.
After months and months of fighting with God, I finally found out that solving it on my own wasn't going to work. So once I surrendered to Him, He put me where He wanted me to be, and it just so happened that that's where I wanted to be.